If you've been thinking about selling your art at in-person events like art fairs, craft fairs, art markets, or even local art shows, or perhaps you've already been trying to sell your art at in-person events and not making the sales that you think you should be, it might be the way that you're trying to sell your work to potential customers. I've been selling at art fairs for over a decade, and I've made a lot of mistakes myself along the way with talking to customers. But I've also seen other artists making huge mistakes, and these are things that are so easy to fix. The first mistake is ignoring customers right when they walk in your booth. This is a problem because customers are seeing your work for the first time, and first impressions, sometimes they mean everything. So I always like to greet customers with a smile and a very open, uplifted, welcoming attitude when people come into my booth. And this way it sets the tone for having a positive experience while viewing my art. Because this is the first thing you need to attain with a potential customer, right? Is to have that good impression on them. And this is why artists who have their face in their phone, or perhaps they're reading a book, or maybe even just working on some artwork while people come into the booth, and they ignore the customers and they just keep doing whatever it is they're doing, these artists aren't making the best first impression. I mean, they are leaving customers alone to browse, and some customers like this. They don't want to be hassled or have sales pushed upon them or anything. But I think across the board, even super shy customers, the ones that are hesitant to talk to you because they don't want to get sold to, even those customers like a simple hello or a welcome in or how's it going today, anything like that, just something simple, a smile, ultimately a simple acknowledgement that you see them and that you value their presence in your booth. And I'd like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. If you haven't heard of Skillshare, there are all sorts of different courses on there. And if you use the link in the description or the QR code that's on the screen right now, the first 500 people will get an entire month of free courses on their platform. Plus, if you continue your subscription beyond that first month, you'll get 20% off your courses for the first year. Lately, I've been learning so many new things by taking courses on their platform. And one course that I came across in particular that I think is specifically pertinent to the topic that we're talking about today is their course called Sales Training for People Who Hate Selling. And I think a lot of us artists are in this category of people, right? We don't really want to try to actively sell our work. We'd rather our paintings or whatever artwork we're creating just speak for themselves, and customers enter in our art booths, see something they love, connect with it, and then purchase it, right? I mean, that would be an ideal world where we wouldn't have to try to be pushy or salesy to customers. But the reality is, if you're out there in your art booth, you're trying to sell your work, and you are one of the artists who isn't actively trying to sell, then you are automatically at a disadvantage when compared to those other artists who have honed their sales skills. So definitely check out this course on Skillshare. And like I said, you get a free month, and you can definitely complete this course and most likely several others in your free month. So don't miss out on this. Now for mistake number 2. This is not being customer centric in how you are talking and dealing with the people who enter your art booth or who you're talking to at your art show. Instead of focusing on yourself and your needs, your interests, for example, instead of talking only about your process, only about the story of the piece, the story that's meaningful to you, instead of doing only those things, take a step back and try to get to know the interests and needs and wants of your customer a little bit before you start actively selling and storytelling and doing all the things that you're trying to do to sell to them. One thing I do when people come in my art booth is I ask them what their favorite animal is. This is great because if they tell me, oh, it's a cat, then instantly I can say, well, I have an entire section of cat prints right there. There are 65 of them. So if you want to see them all, because they're not all hanging, make sure to look through the prints in my print bin. Then once they're looking, they see how affordable the prints are. They see the number of them they really enjoy. And obviously they're starting to think, the wheels are turning as they're looking through, oh, I'd love to have this hanging in my office or maybe in my kids' room, or give this as a gift to my aunt who owns this particular type of cat, things like that. And you can see without me asking that question, I wouldn't have known that cats were the direction that I should sort of channel them toward in my booth to try to sell to them well. If I didn't know and I just said, oh, hey, I have all these dogs over here, check these out, and they didn't like dogs, they wouldn't have cared at all about what I was trying to sell to them. Another thing that you can do, and this is what I love to do, it doesn't even take any interaction with the customer at all. It's eavesdropping on their conversations as they're coming into your booth and as they're talking to other people within their party, because you'll be able to learn so many things. They may be saying, hey, I'm looking for a gift, or oh, I have a dog and it's this type. If you're overhearing all of that, you can butt right into their conversation, say, hey, yes, I have painted a schnauzer. The print of it is right over here, and you can get the print out and give it to them. And doing this will help speed up their browsing to move people through your art booth quicker, so then you can make more sales because you have more space for new customers to enter your booth. But also, it's going to make them feel supported and happy that they're not having to ask you potentially where to find this, because some customers are shy and they don't want to ask you if you've painted a particular type of subject matter. But if you're listening in on their conversations and then you're just offering assistance, not being super pushy, but offering assistance when you know you can, you are making their shopping experience so much easier and better. Mistake number 3 is not addressing customer objections, because every person who walks in your booth is going to have a whole bunch of reasons in their mind not to purchase. This can be for a variety of things. That, for instance, they don't want to have to buy a frame that's a custom frame. They don't want to go to a lot of trouble or work to display their artwork because people are inherently lazy or busy or whatever. We just don't want to do a lot of extra work to be able to bring something and display it on the walls of our home, right? And another thing is people don't have a lot of money to spend sometimes. And so they're looking to budget. So they're coming up with all these different reasons in their mind not to purchase your art. And so as the artist, you need to have answers to all of these objections. One of the things that I commonly hear when people walk into my booth is that, oh, it won't match my decor, because I have rainbow animal art, obviously, and there's a lot of people's home decor that it doesn't match. But right away, the first thing that I will say in response to this is that, well, it might not match the walls of your living room, for example, but often customers love to display my work in their bathrooms. It adds a fun, jovial pop of color to a room that often is a blue or some sort of matching color to my pastel color schemes. Another thing that I sometimes say is, well, they make good gifts. So if you know of any cat lovers, you can get a gift that's under $20. It's going to be something that they've never seen before that they are really going to love. Now, some customers are never going to purchase, but some customers honestly just haven't thought of the solution you might offer to their objection. So make sure every time you hear a customer's objection to have something to say in response to it that will potentially help you close the sale. Mistake number 4 is not asking for the sale. I mean, it's very simple, but if a person is looking at an original painting on the wall of your booth and you've been talking with them about it for a while, you've been telling them the story behind it, sharing your passion for making the work, addressing any objections that they might have. Eventually, if they're still in your booth thinking about it, it's the right time to say, hey, can I wrap this up for you? Or if you're at a local art show where you're not selling the pieces on the wall, you can say, would you like me to place a sold sticker on this? And that way you are trying to help close the sale, because sometimes that's all it takes. I know it might feel a little pushy to do this, but it will help you close more sales than it will hurt you. And so it's something that's a good idea to put into practice, especially if you have those types of customers who are just hanging around and really thinking about their purchase for quite some time. Mistake number 5 is not getting customers' email addresses to follow up with them later. You want to do this because having an email list is one of the best ways to boost your sales after art fairs or in between shows, especially when you have releases of new collections or it's around Christmas time. So always try to get every customers' email that you possibly can. I like to have freebies going on in my booth where if they sign up for my newsletter, then they get a monthly chance to win a free print. But you can do this in any way. You can just simply ask people to sign up for your newsletter. You don't have to give freebies or anything like that. But freebies work, and that's why it's a tactic that I like to use. And remember, make sure to get the people's email addresses that purchase your work along with potential customers who are interested in purchasing but maybe at a later time. The next aspect that comes top of mind for me when thinking about dealing with customers is price haggling, because it happens more often than you think. And I've made a video about it. If you're interested, you can watch it here. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps. See you next time.